Welcome back to the Filmmakers blog, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of Filmmakers Friday. I'm really excited about this episode because I'm talking about something I'm actually doing right now. You know, with past episodes, it's mostly definitions and maybe stuff I've done in the past, but this one, I'm working on my cinematography reel right now, so I'm kind of excited to share something that I'm doing in real time. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 tips that you should use and that I'm going to use to create a kick-ass cinematography reel that will stand out. At the end of the video, I'm also going to have a bonus tip. Why didn't I just put 6 tips in the beginning of the video? Because 5 in a bonus just feels like so much more. Very quickly, before we get right into it, I want to ask you guys 2 questions. The first one would be, when is the last time you made a reel? Was it 6 months ago, maybe a year? If you're like me, 4 years ago. While you're thinking about that, if you already have an answer, great. If you're thinking about it, how long ago did I create one? The second question is, how many projects did you do during the time frame, the interim time frame between your last reel and the reel we're going to create now? Was it 1, 3, or if you're like me, up to 7 projects during that time? That is a lot of shooting, potentially a lot of great shots, new shots. Hopefully you're getting better as you go. That'll be better than your past reel that you can use to try to get more business in the future. So if you've determined through those questions that you're in the same boat that I'm in, that you need to revamp your reel and include all of this past work into it, or possibly you have a reel, fairly modern reel, you know, recently cut, and you're just not getting gigs with it. Well, these 5 tips, plus the bonus tip of course, will help you make a better reel. So let's go ahead and dive into it. My first tip for you is that you need to decide whether you're going to create a montage or you're going to pluck scenes straight out of your past films. Now there's pros and cons to each of these avenues. So the great thing about choosing a montage edit is that you can fit a lot more shots within a short time frame. Like if your reel's 2 minutes, you can fit way more shots with a montage edit. Also, those edits seem to be more upbeat and exciting overall. One of my favorite parts about making a montage reel is that you get to put the coverage of a scene very quickly in the reel. Not just one shot, but maybe 3 or 4 shots that you use to capture a scene, to show your viewer that you didn't just get one shot that was great, but you had 4 shots back to back to back to back that were great and made the scene great. Now the biggest con of a montage edit is what makes the whole scene edit better, and that's showing your storytelling. With a montage edit, you don't really get to see how your cinematography tells the story of the film you are working on. You can only really see that when you pluck full scenes or maybe excerpts of scenes from your film. So that's one thing to consider. Now, the biggest reason to choose one over the other is if scenes can't stand up on their own. And what I mean by that is either maybe the scene is way too long to get the storytelling aspect of your cinematography, and it's just going to make your reel like over 7 minutes, and that's a pretty long reel. Or maybe the cinematography is strong, but the sound, God, the sound is just so bad. You don't want that to be a first impression for your reel. So in that case, you want to eliminate all those other variables that could detract from your cinematography, because that's the whole point of this reel. And I choose a montage edit in that case. All right, my second tip for creating a great cinematography reel is to work with the raw footage, the raw files. When you created the film and the editor edited the film, he was creating that story. So the cuts were all meant to enhance that story. We're working on a totally different project that highlights you as the cinematographer. So if you're doing a montage edit, then work with the raw files, because you may not cut the same place that your editor did for the movie, because you're not telling that story anymore. You're telling the story of your work. Number 3, create a standard of your work that's going to be in the reel. Don't just add shots to add shots because you did a project last summer and it's not in your reel. If you're not 100% happy with every single shot that's in your reel, you need to go shoot more. You need to have a discussion with yourself and create a line of quality. And anything that meets or exceeds that line of quality will make it into your reel. And sadly, anything that's under it just cannot be in it, because your reel is an example of your best work. Even if it shortens the length of your reel, you don't want to put something in there that's not your best work, because anyone who watches it will instantly judge your work and they will remember the worst shot rather than the best shot in your reel. So tip number 4, I think I'm on number 4, is to separate your emotion with the shot. You may really love a shot because it was really hard to get, whether you spent hours on the lighting or overcome obstacles of weather. Maybe it was raining that day and you somehow still got the shot. Things went totally awry and you got the shot, and you feel so proud that you did it. Well, first of all, you should feel great that you got the shot in any circumstances. But when you're looking at the reel, I don't know why a reel is a ball. When the viewer is looking at the reel, he or she is not gonna know what it took to get the shot. They're just gonna see the shot. So if it's below your quality line, even though you're so emotionally attached to it, you're gonna need to let it go because it does not represent your best work. Now, if it does represent your best work, that's a win-win. Throw it in there, make people see it, and then you have a great story about it anyway. But you have to remember your quality line and separate your emotion from your shots. My 5th and final tip, other than the bonus tip of course, if you remember from the beginning, is that you need third-party advice. You need to ask people what they think about your reel. People that are totally objective, hopefully people that weren't on set with you, don't really know your work all too well, or at least what it took to get these shots, like that emotional connection. People that will give you their honest opinion. Now, if you're having trouble finding people like that, or maybe they just say, oh, it looks great, all the shots look great, then ask them a couple questions. Ask them, what's your favorite shot? Okay, that's easy, okay. What's your least favorite shot? Now, if they don't answer that question, you can modify it slightly and say, hey, my reel's a little too long, I'm looking to cut 3 shots out of it. Which ones do you think I should leave out? Now that's a much more constructive question that allows the person you're talking to give you suggestions on what to cut out without them thinking they're gonna hurt your feelings. Another great way to get third-party advice from the get-go is to have an editor that wasn't on set with you, doesn't quite know your work too well, edit your reel. You can't get any more objective than that, because he's gonna wanna deliver a quality product back to you based on what he thinks or she thinks is quality. Now, it could be different when you think, and I think that's really interesting for us to play around with. Edit a version ourselves, but then ask someone else to edit our reel for us and compare the two and see what shots overlap and which ones don't. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. Your bonus tip is coming up. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. Before we get there, I wanna say that if you found any of these tips helpful, comment in the comment section below which one that you're gonna take advantage of. If not more than one, then list multiple. And if you feel like I've missed something, call me out on it. Throw it in there. I love to see what you guys think. Now, bonus tip, number 6 is the most important part I think about crafting a reel, is that you need to know your target audience. Who are you crafting the reel for? Are you crafting it for directors? Are you crafting it for corporate companies? What is the job that you're trying to get from this video? While many shots can overlap to help you get the gig, the way you construct the video should be different and more targeted to your target audience. Remember to like, comment your favorite tip, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week for Filmmakers Friday.
In the front row, kicking back old school tracks like that.